Hey everyone! So if you're looking for a way to automatically enrich lead data using just a name and company, then this N8N workflow is for you. What this workflow does is it takes a simple form submission where you can either find someone's email, their phone number, their LinkedIn profile, or all of that information at once, and it does it all through a service called Linkfinder AI. Now what you're going to see here is how the data flows through the system, gets enriched, and then automatically gets pushed to both HubSpot and Google Sheets, so you have a complete CRM record without doing any manual work. And the best part? This whole thing runs automatically once you set it up. Now let me show you what happens when someone fills out the form. So you've got a simple form trigger at the beginning that asks what are you searching for, and you can choose from 4 options. You can find email only, find phone only, find LinkedIn only, or find all 3. Then you provide the person's full name, their company name, and optionally you can pre-fill email, phone, or LinkedIn if you already have that information. The workflow is smart enough to know what you're looking for, and it routes the request accordingly. So let's talk about the stack we're using here. The main service powering this whole workflow is Linkfinder AI, and this is a really cool API that specializes in finding LinkedIn profiles and scraping LinkedIn data to pull out contact information. Now you might be wondering why we're using Linkfinder AI instead of something like Apollo or ZoomInfo. Well, the main reason is that Linkfinder AI has a really specific superpower, which is it can take just a name and a company and find the exact LinkedIn profile, and then it can scrape that profile to get the email and phone number. Most other services require you to already have more information to start with. Alright, so let me walk you through the high-level flow of how this whole thing works. It starts with that form submission I mentioned. Someone fills out the form, and the very first thing that happens is the data hits a switch node. Now this switch node is super important because it routes the workflow based on what the user selected in that dropdown. If they chose find email, it goes down one path. If they chose find phone, it goes down a different path. If they chose find LinkedIn, it goes down a third path. And if they chose find all, it actually goes down all 3 paths at the same time. This is where the workflow gets really smart. So let's say someone chose find email. The workflow goes to a node called Linkfinder AI Find LinkedIn URL. What this does is it takes the full name and the company name, combines them together, and sends them to the Linkfinder AI API with a request type of lead full name to LinkedIn URL. The API goes out and searches for that person's LinkedIn profile and returns just the URL. Then that URL gets passed to the next node, which is called Linkfinder AI Scrape Profile for Email. This node takes that LinkedIn URL and sends it back to the API with a different request type, LinkedIn profile to LinkedIn info. This is where the magic happens because Linkfinder AI actually scrapes the LinkedIn profile and pulls out the email address, the phone number, the job title, the company name, the location, basically everything from that profile. Now, if someone chose find phone instead, it follows the exact same pattern, but it goes through a different set of nodes. Same thing for find LinkedIn. And if they chose find all, the workflow triggers all 3 paths simultaneously and then merges the results back together at the end. This is really clever because it means you can get comprehensive data in one shot. Once all the data comes back from Linkfinder AI, everything flows into a merge node. This node is set to wait for up to 3 inputs, and it combines all the responses into a single data set. From there, it goes to another switch node, and this one is checking whether the API actually found anything. If the result field is null or empty, that means Linkfinder AI couldn't find the person, and the workflow routes to a failed to find enrichment form that tells the user we couldn't find that data. But if the result field has actual data in it, the workflow continues forward to the good path. Now here's where we clean everything up. There's a code node called cleanup, and what this does is it takes all the messy API responses from Linkfinder AI and normalizes them into a clean, standardized format. Everything gets set to null if it doesn't exist, so you don't get errors downstream. Once the data is cleaned up, it splits into 3 parallel paths. One path goes to the HubSpot node to create or update a contact. Another path goes to the Google Sheets node to append or update a row in the spreadsheet. And the third path would go to Airtable if you had that enabled, but that's currently turned off in this workflow. Finally, after everything is written to your CRMs, the workflow shows a success message form to let the user know the lead was successfully added. Now let's talk about the Linkfinder AI nodes. There are 6 total Linkfinder AI nodes in this workflow, but they're organized into 3 pairs. Each pair handles one type of data request. The first pair handles email, the second pair handles phone, and the third handles LinkedIn URL only. Let me break down how these nodes are configured, because this is where you need to add your API key. For the Linkfinder AI Find LinkedIn URL node, this is an HTTP request node. Under headers, you need to add 2 headers. The first one is content type set to application/JSON. The second one is authorization, and the value is bearer followed by a space and then your API key. You need to replace the placeholder that says API key here with your actual Linkfinder AI API key. If you don't include the word bearer before the key, the authentication will fail. So to wrap up, this workflow is a really powerful way to automate lead enrichment. You take a simple form submission with just a name and a company, and you automatically find the person's LinkedIn profile, scrape all their contact information, and push it to your CRM. You can download the JSON file and import it directly into your N8N instance. Just make sure you replace the API keys with your own. Once everything is set up, you can start processing leads immediately. This is really powerful once you get it running, and I hope this walkthrough gave you a clear understanding of how it all works.